Why do you seek to restrain me when illusion could never contain me? These scarcity thoughts, with their firewalls and oppressive limits, are falling away.
Just the point of our webinars is to try to, when you're looking at life, try to look from several different perspectives. And you know, especially when you're making choices in life, to really try to do at least 4 or 5 different perspectives before you make a choice, so that you can try to see things outside of the box, because we've all created these boxes. If you really want to make changes in your life, you'll start to expand the perspective the best that you can.
When I'm finding inspiration through different things, different people, different situations, specifically through different people, because I do a lot of I watch a lot of interviews, different artists and comedians, and just more recently got more depth with the comedians and stuff like that. Just feeling out how their minds work and stuff like that. But I found myself, obviously being influenced, which is kind of the point. You want to find some sort of influence and then channel it through your art. But for me, and I don't know what it is, how I'm wired, but I don't want to say I'm easily influenced, but I find I quickly mimic the people that I study. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I found myself just through certain comedians that I was following more heavily, taking on their kind of perspectives on life and such, which is why I think I should become an actor at some point, because over the years I've found myself really that's something that I've really taken note to, that I find myself mimicking very quickly, the perspective of others when I study them. But that's detrimental if it goes too far in any direction. So it's interesting.
Well, oftentimes that's a coping mechanism that you learn in childhood. That you learn, and then I'm sure especially with you, because there were so many different. Okay, so you had my family, my mom, in that side of the family, my dad, and that side of the family, which were completely opposite. Then you had Mrs. Marsh and that side of the family, which was completely opposite. So you had all these different groups that you had to fit into. And so that becomes you become the chameleon. And we talked about this, where no matter, and I was the same way, so that I could fit in and be accepted in every group. And that has something to do with us not feeling good enough, or, we want to be accepted. And so it's got this great positive attribute, because we're so capable, but it also has this negative side where we aren't really 100% sure who we are. And sometimes that can change, just like what you're saying. We can kind of be, and I have the same issue. So when I'm doing different research and studying, there are times when I will have my perspective and I believe that this is this way, something is this way, and it's concrete in my mind. But I'll hear something else, and I think that maybe I can understand that too, and completely see how that's plausible and possible. And so, and I think this is just expansion. You're just constantly expanding your perspective. You can let go of information and pull new information in. It's almost the same thing, right? But as long as you're expanding and it's not becoming detrimental and making you contract.
Right.
So as long as the information and for you the situation is helping you grow and move forward to experience from a different perspective, and it's not contracting you and having you hurt other people, hurt yourself, be in pain, not moving forward in a way that is beneficial and feels good for you, for your life and your experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's a famous quote. I don't know who says it, but an artist, good artists copy, great artists steal, and that's something that I've always tried to take. Is that you find something that somebody did like an incredible job at, just a particular thing that they do really, really well outside of their entire body of work, and you just steal that and add it to your repertoire and make it your own. And then you do, you just do that with, as you go through life. I think it might have been Picasso or somebody. But yeah, and I think that that's a part of that. You take the things that are going to benefit you the most in your growth, in your projection, in your birth.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's a great way to put that. Definitely, because that's how it is with life, right? We go through, and with this type of thing that you and I are doing. So we are going through life and we are finding the things that shine the most, the people that are really living these really strong lives, and what the one thing that they're doing that we're pulling from and adding this to our lives so that we can live. And so it's like this buffet of greatness, and I'm going to take this piece and this piece and this piece, and this becomes my program of life, right? So I get up every morning, I do this and this, I concentrate on this, I'm working on, you know what I mean? And these are all the important points and strong points that I've picked up from someone else. Then you create from that this authentic, which then somebody else will take a piece of. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's all about, we're really this expression of source, and that this is how it's all working in this way. I think it's beautiful, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. It's just that not many people are aware of what's really going on, and so that you're perceptive enough to see that's and use it wisely. Aware of what you're doing. So that's great. I love it.
These people in this state of mind that's just unhealthy, and they're the way that they go about, and they start talking to me about whatever things, talking about other people or whatever, just a cynicism and like that, and then
so what do you feel like don't you hear yourself? I mean, you do feel like frustrated with how their ignorance? Like we worry about all the wrong stuff. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just keep seeing all these things that are going on in the world, and I just feel like humanity is so lost. And the things that we pay attention to, we sit here and watch TV and watch all these reality shows, and it's just the things that people do, and I sit and I watch the world going on around me, and it's so disappointing.
Yeah, that's tough to deal with. It's tough to deal with. And I know, in my moments of my most high moments, my perspective on life was that I didn't even pay attention to that. That was almost like motivation for me to be I'm gonna keep living life how I am, and hopefully, and that's how you live as well, and hopefully people follow
Right.
Follow a good example rather than continue.
Be the change you want to be.
Right. Be
the change you want to see in the world. There's these layers of awakening that happen for people, and it's like this journey that we go on. And I don't know how to recall the journey for some reason. I have picked up so much information. When I go on to meetings with people, they'll be like, have you heard of this, this, and this? And yes, I've heard of all of it, and I know it inside and out. But for me just to say, to pull that information for me to give it to you, I don't know how to do that. Not unless the questions come up. And so I guess that maybe I would need you to start maybe priming some questions for me to answer. Things that you're curious about.
I think that is for sure more my role here, because when we were doing the Ivan and Margaret one, I don't know if you did this intentionally or not, but there were a few times that you you framed the situation as if I didn't know, as if I was a 100% novice, like I didn't know anything. And the first time you did, I like noticed it, and I was like, I didn't know how I felt about it at first. But then I was like, okay, well, in this situation, I'm just gonna go with it, because my position in this East Coast Mom, West Coast Son, is being the less educated. Like, so I would be speaking for the less educated, you know what I mean, on the topics. And in most cases, obviously I'm less educated in the majority of this stuff, but I've been studying this stuff in energy, and, you know, my journey of becoming,
right,
finding success in life. So I think that is my position in this, is to ask those questions from a novice standpoint for those people that, you know,
right.
are.
Because I don't know how to communicate that if you don't. You know what I mean? Even when I was doing my classes for people, I had to go back in my YouTube from things that I saved, like videos that I saved, to try to retrace my steps. Because how did I get here? You know, it was a lot of hard work and a lot of reading books and videos and papers and studies, and, you know what I mean? Like peer-reviewed research. Like, I really did a lot of work, and constantly for the last 6 years, that's all I've been doing. Constantly, every day. That's a lot of work. And so, but I don't know, there's so much that I can't just pick 5 things, because we're talking thousands and thousands of things that went into this to get me here. And so I have no formula for it, because I ate all the food that was fed to me. I tasted all of it at least once to see if I was interested or it resonated. All the information.
Yeah, that's how I understand what you mean, because that's how I'm with music. And when people ask me like certain questions on how I made a certain thing, I don't know.
Right, so you understand exactly what I'm saying then?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I would have to ask you a question about something like that for you to, I'd have to ask you a specific question, right, for you to be able to pull that information. And that's where I'm at, is I don't know how to convey this, but I will hear people talk about things like, okay, so today on Lisa's blog, Lisa does a blog every day, okay? And she talked about that somebody said something about source, like fear and love are part of source. Source is non-dual, but that wasn't true. And I completely disagree with her. And I can give you all the reasons why. And so I can start going into so source is everything. And that means that all the things, so the love and the fear are just expressions. But source is all of the matter and all of the expression. Source is everything. Source doesn't see anything in a dualistic way. And so is she talking about a smaller creation? So there's the main source of the whole universe and stuff, all the universes. Then it goes down to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level, and next level, until we get to this smaller portion. And then we get into the cells of our body, like it goes smaller and smaller and smaller, the macro and the micro. Once you get up to a higher level, so we have our perspective, which is a dualistic perspective here on this planet. And then we're not sure about outside of this planet, but definitely in this simulation, because it's all a construct until your spirit and you're back into source. But from that perspective, could you see how if you created something and there's something going on, or even in your body, okay? Here's an example. You have cancer cells and you have your regular cells. So in your body, those cells know which cells are the bad cells and they're eating them, right? But from your perspective, it's all you, and it's all healthy, and it's all, can you see from a source's perspective, there is no, you know what I mean? It's all an expression. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's no, Source doesn't see the dualistic. It's just an expression. And the only reason why we are experiencing this dualistic expression is to learn and to grow. Because there has never been anything that you haven't grown from in some way. If you perceived it as bad or negative, or if you perceived it as positive. All of it makes us continue to expand and grow.
So it's all things that are it's just happening. There's no, it's all neutral and it's all just happening. It's just on how we